Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. So in the previous video, we were discussing a couple of possibilities here. So we're going to go over those ideas of still being in a fifth wave to the upside here first, and then we're going to go over the other counts. Now, we were talking about the potential that we could have this still as a fourth and looking for this fifth wave. Our target area was this 32,685 to this 31,905 region. Now, if we are looking at this as a fourth, then we need this to actually be starting this fifth wave. Now, any kind of a breakdown beyond this point would invalidate this, and we would rather then be looking that our fifth wave actually completed further back into this area, and that this whole move is starting to become a bigger corrective move, where ideally we'd like to see a lower drop down towards this zone of this 28,693 to this 26,084 region. So this would be what we're ideally looking for as a retracement here, for this as a wave 2. Now we can sometimes get a shallower retracement, which is this 263. So we've actually come down into this already. So if we are completed over here, then potentially this could actually be looking to complete a move, but I would still like to see it come down lower here, to be honest with you, just because this is a very rare target for a wave 2, but it can happen. So we need to just be on the lookout for that possibility. Now, if we are looking at the potential of this looking to extend up and in that fifth wave, there was two ways that we were talking about it. So within this, what we were saying is that potentially we could be looking for something like this, where we have an extension in place here. And effectively what we were looking for is a series of 1s and 2s, where this is 1 2 1 2 1 2. Now the reason I don't like this anymore is because this wave 2 has become so big here. Now it is only really invalidated by coming down between this 30,570, and if we move below that level, this would actually invalidate this idea. Now there is potential we could argue that within here we have this as 1 2 3 4 and 5. The problem that we have then is that we did come down very deep with this as a wave 4, so we could potentially argue 1 2 1 2 here, but that would actually invalidate by crossing this low of this 30,155 zone. So if we do break down below that, that basically gets rid of any kind of an impulsive structure that we have here in this way. Now we were talking about this, and if we do manage to actually maintain this 30,570, what I will still be looking out for is the potential for wave 3 up towards this 31,936. The problem is, like I said, I wouldn't trust it as much, because even if we get a 5-wave move to the upside like this, this whole move could just be A, B, and C as a corrective structure, and effectively then we could look to break to the downside after that. So even if we do move up here towards this 31,936, I would be looking to actually get this fourth wave, and this fourth wave would not be allowed to cross this wave 1. So that would be our first point that we could potentially be looking at something else here. If we see price come up here, we hit this level, we get a retracement into this zone, then we'd have to be just careful, because at that point this would become less likely. It's already unlikely at this point looking at it in this way, but you never know with these things. Sometimes when we do get an extension within one of the waves, potentially you can see a bigger wave 2, so you need to just be on the lookout for that possibility. Now, if we were looking at this in the other way, we're talking about the potential of this as a diagonal, where this is 1 2, looking at this as a 3, we're looking for this fourth wave, and then looking for an additional 3-wave move to the upside. Now, as we talked about in yesterday's video, we did actually come down here into this area, and we did actually sweep this weekly naked point of control. Now, we are currently finding support back above this. Now, if we are looking down lower here, we still have these daily and weekly sitting towards this 30,512 to this 30,427. These will be interesting with the bearish case here, where we're actually going to see a deeper correction here before looking for that push to the upside. We'll go over that in a second, but before we actually talk about that, now, I don't like this because we actually came down past this 1 to 1, which we do have now the overlap between this wave 1 and 4, and it isn't a parallel channel, because if I drag this line over here, we can see that between this wave 4 point here, it is not quite parallel to this wave 1 to 3. So just the fact that we've come down into this area here doesn't really change that idea. you know, we still haven't set a new low. If we actually set a new low here, this becomes very unlikely as a fourth wave. But what I'm looking out for here is that if we do actually manage to maintain this 30,620, we could potentially look for a 5-wave move up, 3-wave move down, 5-wave move back to the upside, looking to form this as a diagonal. Now, normally the diagonal shape is more prominent, but you can sometimes get it like this. So I'm just keeping an eye on it. Like I said, not as much confidence in this because we came down to past that 1-to-1, but we do have the overlap now. So just keeping an eye on that. Like I said, if we lose that low, less likely. Now, another way that we could potentially look at this would actually be to just bring things right in here and look at this move in this way, where we actually say that within this area, maybe we had a diagonal like this, rather, where effectively what we have here is this is 1, 2, this is ABC for 3, this is 4, this is 5. So this actually makes a bit more sense to me if we're looking at it in this way. And what we could then potentially be looking at is that we did have this smaller diagonal here where we had a really small 5th wave. We did cross the wave 1 high with the wave 3, so that's fine. And effectively we would have something like this where the wave 5 has broken through this top trend line, which is typical. Now, if this is the case, what this does is this actually means that from where we are, we could actually have this as a completed A wave or a wave 1. Now, if we have this as an A wave, what we'd be looking for then would be effectively this being an A, this being a B, and then looking for a C wave to the upside. Now, this C wave to the upside, what we'd be looking for is this 1-to-1 here at this 31,938 level. Now, if we do come down deeper here, potentially we could even look to retest the 786 at this 29,892 region. But ideally, we don't want to lose this level. Invalidation of this idea would come by crossing the 29,500 level. Now, if we're looking at this as A, B, C, this falls into that corrective count where we could argue this is A, this is B, and then we're looking for a C wave down. However, we need to be on the lookout here because if we do actually get a move up towards this 33,187 level, this could actually indicate that we actually got an extension within here, and this means that we could actually push up in a much bigger way all the way up towards this 33,970 to this 33,478. So the problem is there's many ways of counting this move to the upside. This is the alternative bullish count here, that if we're looking for that direct push to the upside, we could see something like this. Now, it would be very interesting to me, the fact that our golden pocket is actually sitting down here towards the center of this channel again. You know, if we do see something like this, where we get this as an A wave, we get something like this as a B wave, and we come back down here for this area, this 30,203 to this 30,144, that would also look to sweep this low, which would be particularly interesting in looking for that upside potential. But like I said, invalidation comes by crossing this 29,500 zone. So now if we are looking at the alternatives here, we could be arguing that we completed further back into this high, and what we could have is something along these lines. So we're still looking out for that possibility that we could form a C wave to the downside here. What we did is we've actually come up here pretty much to that 1-to-1 of this as an ABC. Now, what I want to see here is if we break this B wave low, then it becomes more likely that actually what we're going to see is this possibility that we're going to see a 3-wave move to the downside, looking for this 29,458 as a possible target. Now, if we are looking at this move currently, we need to be looking for both a 5-wave move as well as a 3-wave move, because this could be WX and a Y. We didn't take this A wave high, so it can still be an X wave in here, and then we see a 3-wave move down. Now, the 1-to-1 target would be this 29,458, which would be quite interesting because it'd be looking to sweep this low. There's probably some liquidity down in these levels, so that would not be surprising if we see this actually play out. But as well as that, I wouldn't also write off the idea that this B wave is complete either, because if we look at the length of this is an A wave, this is a B wave, it is shorter. Now, if we see something like this, A, B, and C, then potentially what we could actually see here is that price could rather move up into these higher levels here. So like I said, we have come up already towards this 1-to-1 level here. Of this as an A wave and as this as an ABC. Now, if we do look to push up rather towards this 32,202 to this 31,906 level, what we could be looking for is this is an A, this is a B, and this is a bigger flat correction. So we need to be on the lookout for that possibility. We could still see a little bit more upside play out here, looking to sweep some of these highs and grab some more of that liquidity. Now, The alternative way we're talking about this is that this could actually be WX here, and we have A, B, and C. Still looking for this push to the downside. Currently, what we'd be looking for is, if we are looking at this as a flat, we would actually want to start to see 5-wave structure develop to the downside, and some potential targets that we have for this is actually looking at this zone here of this 1-to-1, if it's going to be a running flat, which would be this 29,592, and then we have these lower zones here of this 29,185 to this 28,538. Now this would be looking at the possibility that this whole move here is in that corrective structure, looking for the idea of coming back down lower here, looking to target out this 382 towards this zone of this 28699 level. So we can see that coming back down into some of these levels would be quite interesting regarding this overall support zone that we have over here. So we're looking out for that. As well as that, what we do have here is, there is the potential that this corrective structure is not completed yet. And what we could see is something more along these lines. So we're going to come in a little bit closer here. So it is possible this move to the downside, we could look at this as a W, this is an X, and then this is A, B, and we're looking for a C wave down. Now this as a C wave, the 1-to-1 is actually currently sitting here towards this 30,371. So if we see price push down here one more time, A, B, and C, this would actually align with coming back in towards this 50% level here, this 30,425. This would also align with the idea of coming back into this channel that we have here on the shorter term. So if we start to lose these lows over here and we start to break down, this 30,371 is going to be the first area I'm looking for as a potential support zone here. The 50% is slightly higher than this, to be fair, which is sitting up here at this 30,425, which would be sweeping this low over here. But we'll have to keep an eye on this, because if this starts to break down in a much bigger way here, then potentially we could actually have that 5-wave move starting to form. Now, even if we aren't completed and this is A, this is B, we could still see a C wave to the upside. Now, I wouldn't like to see this move above this 31,020 level. Otherwise, it would be less likely that we are within this count. But what we would be looking for is the fact that possibly we could still look to move up before that move down. Now, this could bring us just back into this channel, for instance, in which case we target this 50% at this 30,873. Alternatively, this could look to push up higher here and adjust how we are looking at this channel. And then we'd be looking for that potential of another move to the downside in 3 waves if this is looking to extend. Now, the key thing here is, effectively what we're saying is that we could still be within a bigger A, a B, and a C pattern to the upside. So if we do manage to hold this zone, once again, that 0.618 to that 0.65, that golden pocket is sitting right here on this central channel line. So if we do manage to hold that support, what we could actually see is continuation to the upside one more time, looking for this C wave up here, which would be this 32,171 at a 1-to-1, and then the minimum of this off of that 0.618 would actually be bringing us back into these highs, which could be quite an interesting area, obviously, to actually come back down here, come back up here, set a double top, look to actually move down, something like that. So going to be keeping an eye on that as we move forward. Potentially we could look for this corrective move to continue to push to the upside for a little bit more. Now, what we could also argue here, which is probably the least likely count in my opinion, but we need to still be on the lookout for it, is that we could see this actually start to break to the downside here, where we are looking at something like this as a 1-2. Now, we have come very high here, and like I said, it's not my most probable count here at the moment, but the fact that we could still see a 5-wave move down here anyway, where we're looking at this as A, this is B, and looking for a C wave, as well as that is looking at this as W, X, A, B, and C. There is potential for this secondary count here to come into play, and because of that, I'm just being mindful that if we do look to push down deep enough, and if we do see price start to break down towards this 28,766, we could see an additional 4th and a 5th wave playing out here, provided that we can't get back above this 30,044 level with a 4th wave here. Now, invalidation would actually be slightly lower than that anyway, which would be this 29,930. If we see something like this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, this 4th wave here is not allowed to cross this wave 1, so need to just be on the lookout for that if we do see price start to move to the downside here. Now, looking at the internals of this, what I'm looking at within this is once again the idea that we could actually have this potentially as a diagonal, where this is 1, 2, this is 3, we have 4, and potentially this 5th wave could be completed already, because we do have a 3-wave move down here. Now I didn't take the wave 3 low, which typically happens, but it is still possible that this could actually look to reverse from this point if this is the case, and we have this as a diagonal. Now if we have it as a diagonal, what I would be on the lookout for is any kind of 3-wave move to the upside, failing to break above this 31,222 to this 31,013 level could actually indicate that this could become either A, this becomes B, we see a C wave down, which still looks to bring us down into some of those lower ranges and that corrective structure that we were talking about, and then look for potential to move up from there. Or alternatively, if this becomes our wave 1, we get a wave 2 to the upside here, and we actually start to break down in a 5-wave move. What we could actually see is this 4th and 5th look to play out if we move down towards this 29,942, which could put us into this zone here of this 29,837 to this 29,672 level. So going to be keeping an eye on that if we do see price break down in a bigger way here. I would still be anticipating this to move up from this point if this is the case, where we treat this as a 1, 2. Now, if we fail to actually do that, what we could do is actually just break down deeper here, where we look at this as a series of 1s and 2s. Now, the structure currently is not very good for this. What we're talking about is the potential. This could be 1, 2, this could be 1, 2. But now, within this next bit here, this isn't making a lot of sense anymore. Because of the way the structure has formed here, we could potentially argue there's another 2 1 2s here, but once again, this wave 2 and this wave 2 are unlikely to be within the same count here, because this one is substantially larger than this one over here. So we need to just be aware this can happen, but it's not likely in my opinion. Actually, I think it's pretty unlikely, to be fair, because this potential here, if it is a series of 1s and 2s, I would have liked to have seen this already starting to break down. The fact that we're just consolidating here makes this less likely, but we'll have to just keep an eye on it if we do start to see price break down in bigger ways here. The first area of interest to me would be crossing this 30,387. In which case, what we could then get is an additional 4th and a 5th here, and an additional 4th and a 5th here. But the internals of this wouldn't make sense at the moment. So unless this was going to actually extend out dramatically, this would make no sense as a 1, 2, 1, 2. But we'll have to just keep an eye on it. Like I said, I think it's more likely, if I'm going to be honest with you, that we are within that corrective structure here, where potentially this correction is not completed. This would make more sense to me, where we're going to get this as an A wave. We're still looking for a B wave. We look to sweep these highs again. And then after that, we look to come back down and actually sweep these lows. That would make a lot of sense, from just a market structure point of view. We could actually look to see that actually play out, where we come up here, sweep these highs, come back down here, sweep these lows, and then look for that possibility of continuation up. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.